Welcome to the Publishing by the Numbers podcast. It is mid-March, and I'm really hoping, okay, so when we're recording this, it's before mid-March, and it has been stupid cold where I live. So this is happening in mid-March, and I hope by then that I have got flowers coming up and that it is warmer than it is now. But welcome, we're glad to have you. I'm Jana S. Brown, and I'm here today with my two fabulous co-hosts, Virginia Anderson. Hi, Virginia.
Hello.
And CJ and Aya.
Hello, guys.
And today we are going to have so much fun. We are going to have so much fun that fighting it down under our normal hour is going to be a stretch. I'm very certain of this. So last week we introduced kind of our theme for March. We are talking about conferences, about seminars, about writing organizations, all those things that you can get involved in as a writer and as a self-publisher so that you can help to move your career along and so that you can know that while this is sometimes kind of a very individual kind of career, there is a whole host of people out there who are just as crazy as you are, and they want to talk writing with you all the time. And if you're anything like me, your family gets to the point they would like you to go away and talk writing with somebody else, anybody else, not here. And so this is one of the great reasons that we go to writing conferences, is so that we can find our tribe and we can find the people who want to talk about the nitty-gritty details of why our characters did what they did. And then we can listen in return. So that brings our guest of honor up today. This is the absolutely fabulous Terra Luft. I have known Terra for more years than I think I have. Not quite more years than fingers, but it's been a while.
10-ish, I think.
10-ish, give or take.
Yep.
And
you know that we have 10 fingers, right?
At least 10. At least 10. But Terra is amazing and fabulous, and she is a conference runner, and I'm going to read her background, and then I'll come back to the other reasons she's fabulous, and then we will ask her questions until she tells us to stop. So Terra Luft is an award-winning author of speculative fiction whose imagination conjures mostly dark tales. Her work explores women's themes and challenging societal norms in hopes of allowing fresh perspectives to emerge. An overachiever by nature, I can tell you that part is true. In the last few years, totally true. Terra tackles every project with coffee and sarcasm and believes all rules exist to be broken. That is also true. Terra holds a Bachelor of Arts in Creative Writing in English with a minor in Communications from Southern New Hampshire University and a Master of Science in Management and Leadership from Western Governors University. She is a member of the League of Utah Writers, where she serves on the board as membership chair. Because she still can't say no to everything that she should, also true, she is also a member of the League of Utah Writers Conference Committee, which she chaired for half a decade. She is now in a continual state of organizing, there we go, a continual state of organizing for quills and pre-quills conferences. Terra resides in the mountains of Utah with her husband, her two daughters, their dogs, and a cat who stole her heart. And that residing in the mountains, that's really true, isn't it, Terra? You have land up there now, don't you?
I do. So we live in Salt Lake, out in a suburb outside of Salt Lake, but we also have 7 acres out in the Uintas general area. I don't really tell people where exactly because that's the point.
Yes, I've seen the pictures, and pretty much as long as you can get up there, I know there's a lot of weekends that are spent with, you in the wilderness, and that's about it. And like I say, I've known Terra for a long time. I'm also a member of the League of Utah Writers, so we met in their genre chapter, in the Infinite Monkeys chapter, which is lots more fun than that genre chapter. And she pulled me into, it was not my first conference committee, but it was my first in a long time. I had moved away from that life, and she just sucked me right back in and had me work on food stuff with her. And we did that for a number of years until COVID made everything explode. And we kind of went from there. So ladies, you have now heard all of these wonderful things. Who has a question that they want to direct at our wonderful guest? And we'll go from there. Come on, V, I know you want to.
I'm just super impressed because obviously I didn't prepare my homework properly, so I didn't go read the bio first. I can also spin that in a way that I want to get that first impression. I can spin that way, or I can say I didn't do my homework, but yeah. So
Both are valid. I'll let you have both.
Either way, I'm super impressed. So thank you so much for taking the time and meet with us. So that's just me being polite. Oh, CJ.
Woohoo! Okay, now ask your questions. You've been dying to ask.
No, I think I want to hear a little bit more about the questions that may be more relevant to our listeners, and then I will go in with my own questions that maybe no one cares, but I'm very interested by.
Okay.
Well, all right. So listeners, oh, go ahead, CJ.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, if V's not gonna jump at it, then I totally am. I want to know, how did you first get started managing these conferences? Did you just say, hey, I'm gonna volunteer for this because there's nobody filling this position? Or did someone beg you? Did someone, hold your pet hostage? What exactly occurred to convince you to do this, to jump into
So
this?
as Jana alluded to it, I am an overachiever, and I joined the League of Utah Writers. I had never been to one of their conferences. I'd been to a couple of conferences, but not theirs. And I was a chapter president, so I was kind of tied to the board. And the president at the time said, hey, we need somebody to help out on the conference committee. Would you mind joining us? And that was a very interesting year because it was the first year that we had Comic-Con. Well, it's FanX now, but it was called Comic-Con at the time. And we had our venue already set. And then Comic-Con came out and said, we're going to do it on the same weekend. And we knew that our conference would not be successful if we did it on the same weekend, because people would probably go to Comic-Con and not come to a conference. So we had to change. We had to find a new venue, and we had to get it all done in 6 weeks. If you know anything about conferences, 6 weeks, that isn't enough to even decide what your menu is. And so they needed help. And my friend and I at the time were like, sure, we could help. I can do spreadsheet stuff. It ended up that we basically did the lion's share of it all and pulled it off. And then at that conference, the president said, so we would like to create this new position called the conference committee chair, and we would like you to hold that position. And I said, I'll do it in one condition, that I can run it like I would like corporate job, that I can hire and fire and organize myself, and I'm in charge, not you, and then I'll do it. And he said yes. So I said yes. And then I did it for, I don't know, 7 years, I want to say, Jenna. How long did we do it? 7 years together.
It was
And
at
I'm
least
still
that
on
long.
the conference committee. So I'm still doing it, but I'm not in charge anymore. 100%. Well, technically.
Technically, you're
You
not in
can never
charge,
be.
but
Yeah.
yeah, really, you're calling all of the shots anyway, but yes.
I'm sort of herding cats behind the scenes and helping the new people figure out what their job is. That's probably accurate.
Yes.
Okay.
Now we call it advising, even though
Yeah.
it's still being in charge.
Yes. I still do all the technical pieces of it, where I build registration and I connect all the data together. So I'm still very involved, but I'm not the chair anymore. So
I
don't
break out into
volunteer.
hives
is
right now.
if you don't want to get roped in, don't volunteer, because they will, if you're good at something, they will hold on to you forever and never let you go.
Yes, but you have a favorite word that is similar to volunteered. That is how I joined your committee for several years. And that is, Terra is the queen of voluntolding people, which means that she identifies your unique skills and how they can help her situation. And she voluntold you that you are now going to help her. And it's really, really hard, if not impossible, to say no after you have been voluntold by Terra. I'll just put that out there, because that's how I ended up being the food committee for a while. Was yes, I need you to do this, and we're going to do this, right? Yes, because I also have problems with saying no, and she identifies that in other people. So I guess that's something we've learned, is if you want to be a conference chair, find people around you who are incapable of saying not only no, but hail no,
Mhm.
and running away. And instead they flock to her like little chickens.
But that is
Yeah.
one of the things that is important if you're going to do that kind of work, is identifying what people are good at and the kind of roles that you need to fill, and then connecting those people to their work. That's, I think, what makes it most successful and why it was so well run for the time that I was doing it. Because just saying I want to help doesn't bring a skill set. And so we made sure that we had the right skill set for what we needed to have done work. And that's when the voluntolding came in. It's like, Jana, we need you because you have the skill set. And then it worked.
I think that's a real gift, though, in order to recognize, I mean, all of those moving parts. When I think about it, I kind of want to hyperventilate just a little bit. But those are a lot of moving parts that you're looking at. And then you're recognizing, okay, I'm not going to be the one for all of these different moving parts. Who could fit this role? And then finding those people with those particular skill sets. I think when it comes to planning activities, I get so overwhelmed. I have said no repeatedly and have no problem saying it, by the way. So don't even think about it.
I don't have that skill
but-
set.
Terrified. Mainly it's from terror, really. I'm so scared of planning activities. But my problem is I can't see the big picture the way that it seems like you can. So what are all of the moving parts when it comes to putting a conference together? What do you have to consider?
Yeah. You would need someone who can find a venue and who can evaluate what the logistics of it are going to be. Because if you want to have a really intimate kind of a place, where then that's a different venue than if you want 500 people to come to your conference versus maybe 100 people. So what size, what kind of activities are you going to do? What kind of rooms do you have to have set up? So the venue and the facilities is one sort of aspect. Food, are you going to have food? Food is huge because you don't want to kill someone with allergies. You don't want to hear someone complain that there's no vegetarian option. You don't want to hear people talk about how gross it was and how come it costs so much. So food is alone a huge endeavor. You've got to have a talent committee. So you've got to figure out who can come to your conference and be on the faculty and create content for people to come and pay money to attend your conference and have it be something that they enjoy. So that's usually there's 3 or 4 people that are doing that. Then there's marketing, because how are you going to tell people about it? There's registration. How are you going to manage selling the tickets and connecting those people to what they paid for and when they get on site? And there's a whole lot of ahead of time registration versus when you check in, printing badges, designing what the badges are going to look like, all of that kind of stuff. What else? Is that it? I think that's about it. That's the big stuff.
Do you tend
Vendors.
Volunteers and vendors is the other one. So there's lots of vendors who want to be at your table, be at your event with like tables. Are you going to sell people to have their own kind of stuff there? Do you want to have it be in trade with other organizations? All that kind of stuff.
how do you promote? What's the tools that you use to do the marketing? Or is it more offline, or is it because of with social media these days, it probably has evolved in the way how you do marketing?
We have multiple, it's not my area of expertise, but I know that we have a website for the one that we do. We have a website that is for the league that we have conferences there every year. We do them the same. And then we also do social media marketing. So we're kind of both. Plus, in past years, we've also done outreach where, we print flyers and we have advertising at other events ahead of time. So conference is a season sort of thing. So you go to the ones in the early season and you get people who are going who may not have heard about yours. And that's why other organizations try and be at each other's conferences so that you can talk to attendees and sort of, we've done other like partnerships with other like out of state conferences where if they have a printed program that you can buy advertising space, then you can talk to their people and they hear about yours that same way. Lots of different, there's not one place to hear about it that everyone is going to be in that one place. So there's a lot of that.
So with COVID, I'm imagining a lot of things have changed, right? A lot of things.
So much.
Yeah. So did you, because we're kind of getting back to normal. So during the COVID, did you have to change the format to go online, or did you just let's not run those? What happened during COVID? And then now what do you do? Is there are you going back to the pre-COVID format, or is there any difference?
So before COVID, we were 100% in person. That was it. COVID, we had to go 100% online for at least the first year. I can't remember if we did 2 years of only online. We might have done 2 years. I can't remember now. I think it was only 1 year that we were 100% online. And then we went back and then because the one good thing about COVID was forcing us to go online actually made us more accessible for people who would never have been able to come to a conference. People who have young children or other reasons they don't ever leave their house can now carve out time to come when they would never have been able to travel before. And so after COVID, we were like, it's silly of us not to remain as inclusive as we have been forced to be for the last year. So now we are 100% hybrid. So it also, in that weird period where like vaccines were just barely out there and we were trying to still have a conference but not be a super spreader event, because then it's a difficult place to be. So it was, hey, these are the COVID policies. You have to have a vaccine. You have to prove that you've been vaccinated so that everyone's safe. If you can't, you still can come because there's all this other stuff that is accessible, that it's not exactly the same, but you still can be there. So going forward, that is what we're going to maintain, the hybrid.
In terms of the numbers, do you feel like it's back to the pre-COVID numbers, or is it less, more?
It's a little less. Certainly when we were hybrid or when we were only online, it was much less. It was very, very.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then the first year of sort of hybrid, we'd all been on Zoom for a year. And there was a lot of people who were so sick of online stuff that they were like, nope, we're not doing that. If you're not 100% back in person, we're not coming. And now I think that it's sort of a little bit of a mixture where we've proven, at least with our conference, that we have just as much really valuable content. So it doesn't matter if you're in person or not, you still can buy pitches to talk to agents. You still can see really great live streamed presentations and workshops. So you still are getting that same value. And so I think it hasn't quite come back, but it is mostly back last year.
This actually surprises me. I would think that because of the convenience of attending a conference, so you don't have to travel, it also saves on money. You don't have to pay for accommodations and things like that. I would think that people would be more willing to attend conferences, but you just made the point that we've been doing this Zoom thing for the past 3 years and people are really sick of it. And that brings me to my next question, which is what are the benefits of attending a conference live and go to an event?
I honestly think that the thing that is the most beneficial in person is the networking that you can do. And that's the part that is the hardest to do when you're in a virtual setting. So if you're just there to learn, that's one thing that you can do in either virtual or live. But if you're there to meet people and make connections with people who would progress your career later, that's a lot harder to do in a virtual setting. So that's the main. I also feel like, at least with our conference, and I haven't done a hybrid one, or I haven't done a one that's in person, but also hybrid. I don't know that you get as much content. So like with our conference, probably 60% of the classes and presentations and things are live streamed. And the other 40%, we just don't have the bandwidth and the technology to be able to give everything that's in person. So there is a little bit of a benefit to being in person, that you have more choices.
Yes. And I think the other thing is we receive a lot of, there's this event online, there's that conference online, and there's this, 3 special days on this and on that. It's just like bombarding permanently with events. And it's just, it dilutes a little bit of the, the special feeling. So and like you said, I think network is really one of the most important thing.
And actually, I'm going to add to that. I'm going to cut you off at the pass. The other thing I think that's really nice about a live event is being able to get away from your house and all of the demands thereof, whether it's kids or pets or dishes or whatever. I always tell my husband that this is my chance to go somewhere else, and I am not mom Jana, I am not spouse Jana, I am not house cleaning Jana, I am not all of those roles that I fulfill all the time. This is a time when I can go and focus, and I can be author and presenter and all of those things that are part of my writing career. And I can do that uninterrupted. And when I'm sitting here, I'll tell you, I have a sign for the door, and the sign says, "Do not disturb except for cases of blood and fire." And yet my 9-year-old will push the door open, and she will not cross the threshold. It's like inviting a vampire in. She won't cross the threshold, but she will stand just behind it, and she will hold up signs that she has written in her very best 9-year-old cursive that say things like, "Dear mommy, my toe is bleeding. Help, help." And what are you supposed to do? Because she's standing there, and I'm looking at her, and there's blood dripping down her toe. And it's like, first of all, you're 9, go put a Band-Aid on it. And second of all, I will be stopping my thing now because you are legitimately bleeding. But sometimes it's things like, "Dear mommy," because everything starts with "Dear mommy. Dear mommy, can I have a Monster Pop and a Nutella and go?" And the last time I got my own sign, and it said, "Ask Daddy," because then I didn't have to go anywhere. But so you can make the online thing at home work. And I know some people will even get a hotel room or something, even though they're going to attend online, because they're still giving themselves that distance from the day life. And unfortunately, not enough of us can do authoring as a full-time whatever. But I think that's one of the benefits, is that I get to go hang out with my friends in person, to see people I haven't seen in a long time. And you can really make that break between all of the other versions of you and writer, author, publisher you, and give it that focus for just a few days. And sometimes we really need that boost that comes from complete focus on this thing that we love just for a few days. All right, go on now. I will return to letting you, talk shop.
So yeah, I agree. I think for most of the normal people, so which means that I'm not including myself amongst the normal people, at the one point, when they go back to their normal work, they're happy because they like that interaction with others. I don't. I'm really happy with just be with myself all the time. So but normal people, yeah, I hear you. I think it's really important to have that separation, like this is my time to focus on my career, on my books, on my business. So Terra, in terms of the profiles of attendees, are they mostly writers? Are they, because with the booming of print on demand like KDP or Ingram Spark, do you feel like there's a bit of a shift in the type of people who attend those conferences?
Do you mean between people who are wanting to be independently published versus independently published? That kind of thing?
Yes.
Versus traditional?
Yeah. I think yes. And there's a lot of people who are exploring how to be in the middle, sort of hybrid in the publishing. I know one of the things that we have always done with the League of HR Writers, with Quills conferences especially, is we have always made it to where the content, if you're coming to learn at our conference and not just for agent pitching, which are two different things, if you, depending on what your goal is for. If you're coming to learn craft and publishing advice and learning skills, we always make sure that it's applicable to everyone.
Right.
And so I think that in other conferences that I have attended, I have seen it shift where people are asking more questions about why shouldn't I be independently publishing? Why shouldn't I be hybrid publishing? I think that probably across the board, it's become far more appealing and accessible for people to explore that.
Right. Okay.
So we
Yeah.
offer both. And I think that probably everyone that's coming is looking more at both as well, is the short answer.
And to continue on that, do you feel like the type of content, the type of speakers that you invite had changed? So are we more focused on how to do marketing yourself, how to promote your books yourself, or rather than relying on traditional publishers to do this whole part themselves?
I don't know if it's changed that much. There's only so many ways you can talk about promoting your own books and doing your own marketing. And whether or not you're traditionally published or indie publishing, you still have to do it yourself, right? So I don't think that the content and the types of people that are coming are really changing that much, but I think that people are looking for different ways to do it that maybe they haven't before. And so the content is a little bit different, but not that much, I wouldn't say.
And so the format, because I haven't been to one of those live in room. So what's the format like? Is it a more like a lecture on something, or is it more like a workshop type, or is it more like let me show how to do it, or maybe we can do it together? What is it?
Are you asking specifically about the ones that I organize, the Quills conference? Yeah, so we are mostly, it's one person making a presentation and telling you about stuff. Occasionally we'll take other faculty that they know about sort of a lot of the same things, and we'll put them on a panel together. But we're mostly an expert telling you about a topic. And then we do have one day before and after. So Friday, Saturday is just presentations and a couple panels here and there. And then on Thursday and Sunday, we have workshops. So those are like 2 or 3 hour workshops where you get really you dig deep and it's hands-on. So you're learning and practicing a skill.
And I guess that's
those used to be an additional fee. Now those are included. Right.
And I guess that's another reason why attending those conferences live, because this the kind of thing is really like you're going there, you're going to actually be able to do what you learn during those.
We live stream our workshops, so you don't have to be in person to do workshops at Quills.
But so how does it? So what's the kind of average number of attendees you will go live?
You're going to ask me questions that I'd need data for. Probably, I think 200-ish in person is what we've had the last couple of years.
Right. Okay. And do you feel like if I'm going to a live event, I will get more of my questions answered than if I'm attending the live stream, for example?
I don't know. I've never thought about that. We have ways to live ask questions, and we have volunteers in the live streaming so that if there are questions and you put them in the live stream, then you can get them facilitated. So I think it probably depends on the person. Will you be someone who would proactively ask a question regardless of the format that you're in? You would get them answered either way.
I see. So
Nope. Now it's CJ's turn.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, I know. I knew
this is my job. Is that
I know she was like, we're gonna have to cut V off at the pass occasionally.
I'm going to spread the wealth here. This way we can get.
I tried to show restaurant at the beginning. I'm like, no.
You did a very good job, V. I was very impressed.
You did. But
okay.
But now I'm jumping in because that's my job as the person who jumps in and does these things. So
Such a great
CJ,
moderator.
it's your turn. Yeah, that's one of my jobs. I go to
Really?
conferences and I sit on panels so that I can moderate and I can cut off presenters and say, let's hear from CJ. So CJ, it's your turn.
Well, you're going to notice a difference in types of questions where, V's going to get real technical. I'm going to be like, so tell me about all the crazy things that have happened at conferences, because that's where I roll with this. So
I
because
got stories,
seriously,
CJ.
you're planning all of this stuff and everything needs to go to plan. But I would imagine because people are, I'm not going to say they're stupid. People be crazy. I would imagine that just, all these wonderful, well-laid plans don't really go to plan. I just want to know, like, tell me all the good stuff for a little bit. And then V will
There
attack
was
you again with technical stuff.
back in the day, I think it was the first year, it was not digital programs, so we were not super fancy with an app on your phone yet. We had printed programs and we had someone who had designed them, and it was old school. So you had to have people's headshots and their bios and the class schedules, and it had to be super great and printed. And it cost like $1,500. Printing is not cheap. And we were already at the venue. We were in Provo that year at the Marriott, and the guy who was delivering it was pouring rain. He pulled up and he pulled them out and he said, I don't know if this is going to work. And they were 8.5 by 11 printed paper, front and back, and they had stapled them in the corner like a packet you would get at school. But they were so thick that the staples didn't actually bend under so that they would clip. And so, and it was like 8:30 at night in Provo. So we had to find a Kinko's or a FedEx or something. I think it was FedEx. And we just got there because I knew that if we were inside the store before they closed, they would not be able to send us away. So we went to so we got there and we pulled our stuff in, and I said, I need super thick paper staplers, and we need paper staple pullers. And there were I don't know, 8 of us, 7 of us. I don't remember. There was a whole bunch of us. And it was assembly line where we were pulling off the inadequate staples and putting in the new staples and putting them back. And when we left, there was hundreds of broken staples all over the floor that they had to clean up. And I felt so terrible. And so we gave them a big tip because all we bought was staples. And the next morning at registration, we're handing out these beautiful printed programs for all the attendees who checked in, and they had no idea that anything had gone bad. But it would have been terrible if it had been a half an hour later and we hadn't been able to get into Kinko's. So there's been logistics problems where the hotel thought that there was a tiny little maybe this big trash can in a room that would have 50 people at a time all day would probably be enough for a garbage can. And so in the background, we're running around trying to find someone from the hotel that would come and make it worth our money that we were paying for them to give us their banquet facilities and make them come and get their garbage from overflowing on our people. What else have we had?
Oh my word.
There were food problems where we had people who had nut allergies and they had put things out on the buffet that had nuts in them. So
I yelled at the chefs
going,
that
no,
year.
don't eat this, don't eat that,
Yeah.
don't eat that. This has nuts in it, kind of stuff. What else? There's a whole lot of behind the scenes stuff of diva people. So when you said people are crazy, there's presenters who think that they should get everything for them. We had one person who required us not only to put them up in the hotel, but to find a pool that they could swim laps in every morning And because the hotel venue that we choose to go to is a corporate hotel, there's no swimming pool in the hotel. So we had to find a place and find someone who could take our special guest back and forth to the pool every morning for their workout. Then there's also people who register and think that they should get everything for free, and how come it costs so much? And I think that's the hardest part, is there's so many costs to putting on a conference, because our conference, our max is like 400 people in person, and we can feed 250 of them at a time. And our food alone is like $25,000 for a weekend. That's just for the hotel. And we have settled on one hotel that we do multiple years of contracts. And because we spend so much with their food, it doesn't cost us full price for their banquet facilities, but the facilities and the food are separate costs. And you have to pay people to fly in if you want keynotes that are going to attract people who want to come and who are going to inspire your attendees. So the first year that I was the conference chair, that we were super aggressive about making the Quills conference this amazing thing, it cost us like $80,000 to put on that conference. And frankly, we scared the poop out of so many people on the board because they didn't believe that people were going to come. So we had to build it and then they would come, kind of thing. But you get the right people to come on your faculty, and then attendees will want to come. And so it's a lot of money. So if you're listening to this and you're wondering why it costs $300 or $400 for a weekend that includes food, that's why. There's a lot of expense that goes into it.
Yeah, that's really a really good point, because it's a little bit of chicken and egg thing, because you have to incur those costs ahead of time. So you have to, commit and those things, but you don't necessarily yet have the amount of attendees to recover with all your costs. So how do you, let's not talk about the event that you've been running for a while, so you kind of can budget and have an idea ahead of time. But let's say when it's the first year, how did you manage to make the expenses meet with the revenue, so that we're not going bankrupt after year one?
Yes. I think the most important thing is doing a lot of early ticket sales and offering early discounts. So people who are looking for a most affordable way to attend a conference look for early bird pricing. And they also fuel your ability as the conference runner to make your deposits ahead of time and pay for airfare ahead of time. And then the closer you get to the conference, the more expensive the tickets are, because that's when your expenses are going to hit.
Right.
So, and then, you find a lot of people who will you can volunteer them to do stuff. We did our own graphic designs. We did our own printing for several years. Like, we did what we could in-house without having to hire it out, and a lot of volunteers to make it happen.
Right. Okay. Wow. Sorry, I took the mic again, so I'm just going to see.
I expected it at any second. So I was just, it's just, what can I get in quickly as fast as possible before V's like, yeah, tech.
Take the mic.
So if somebody says, okay, this sounds actually kind of fun to me, and they wanted to be on what used to be your conference committee, and I don't know who's in charge now, but if they wanted to do something like that, what would they do? Do they just roll up and say, choose me? Or what would be a good way to get involved in this if this is the thing that your heart desires to do?
You should know how much time you have to offer because it's a lot of time. You should know specifically what kind of skills that you can offer. Like, I know how to do this already. So is there a thing that would use my skills? And then you would contact the League of Utah Writers. We have a website, leagueofutahwriters.com. There's a place I can give you a link. So you want to put it in the show notes that
Yep,
you
we
can
will do that.
say, I'm interested in volunteering. And then we start a conversation about it and see where you might fit.
Right. CJ, see, I'm passing on the mic.
Excellent. Thank you. I actually did not have any more questions. I thought I just wanted like the
Yeah, I
gory
do.
stories and the scary things. That's what I was interested in.
I
Because
do.
you know that all of this organization gives me hives. We're all aware, right? It's my
There
work.
There
Yeah.
is a secret to staying sane,
Oh.
and it is this.
Oh yes,
Because
because I've been admiring this thing. So do tell us what is
This
this wonderful thing.
is a required item of jewelry that I will always have on, and it is a flask that is always full. So if I need something, I can take a little shot of something to stay sane.
What's
We
your drug
do-
of choice?
So our conference starts Thursday afternoon. We usually check in Wednesday night. We're up all night Wednesday night prepping for everything. I never leave the hotel until I go home at night. So I'm never driving. I'm never intoxicated, but I'm usually buzzed a little bit, depending on the level of chaos that's
I
happening.
think that's okay.
And
I
you
think
also don't need to only have that for conferences. It can be a daily, it's really 2-in-1. CJ knows how much I love 2-in-1s, shampoo, conditioner, 2-in-1.
Fun fact, I don't wear it except at conferences.
You're missing an opportunity. This is a beautiful piece of jewelry, and
You're
you can
probably
drink
right.
at some time. 2-in-1.
I think CJ asked, was it you that asked what's my drug of choice?
Yes. What's your choice there? What's your poison?
Usually it's pineapple infused vodka because it's good enough I can just sip straight.
I love it. I love it.
Oh my God. Okay, what
Oh.
have we done here?
What else do you want to know?
Here's the visual though, because I'm always, in my brain thinking up imaginary scenarios, which is why everyone knows I'm nuts. I'm visualizing
No, that's
you
why you're
at
a writer.
table. Well, that too. But I'm visualizing you at a table running things like the queen that you are. And then just occasionally, if someone asks something stupid, before you answer, just drink it to shore up the reserves there. And then you have the patience to respond.
Just like
Yep.
that.
It's
Just
like,
like that.
just wait, 1 second.
I love it. Oh man.
Just like
Oh,
that.
all right. On that lovely note, we are approaching the end of our podcast. So we're going to go
Wait.
into
Wait,
wait, what?
I want
Wait,
to know.
what?
I want to ask you a few more questions. Okay.
Jenny, rapid
We can
fire
have Tara
questions,
back,
Jenny.
but all right, you have the lightning round. You can have 3 questions, but they have to be concise.
Oh,
Snappy. Snappy.
I don't know how to do that. So what if I'm an attendee and I'm going to a conference? How do I prepare for that the best?
That's actually a really great question. You should have goals, right? Am I here to learn craft? Am I here to meet people? Am I here to sell a book? Am I going to try and do both? And then you decide based on that goal, what your days are going to be like. And here's the other thing, you may make a plan and that plan may need to change. Do not be afraid to walk out of a presentation that you started that you thought was going to be for you. And then when you start it, it's not for you. You just walk out. No one's caring. No one pays attention. They don't know why you're leaving. Maybe you got a phone call and your family's on fire. They don't know. And also, if you haven't picked which conference that you're going to, maybe make that based on your goal. If you just want to learn how to sell a bazillion books that you're writing 6 weeks at a time, go to an indie only type of conference. If you want to try and figure out where you're going to fit best, go to something else that's not just one size fits all.
Yeah, and depending on the goal that you have, prepare accordingly. You know, maybe if it's about network, at least get to know a little bit about the speakers. Have business cards. I know that, or have something that that will facilitate the connection, because I can imagine there's a lot of people who want to approach those speakers, and you have to, or something a bit different to get you to stand out. A flask with a with
Very
a
shiny.
shiny.
Also, you should find out what's included and take full advantage of everything that's included in your registration. I went to a conference where it was included that you would get a pitch with a query critique with an agent. And I wasn't really ready to be querying, but it was so invaluable. I just whipped something up for my current work in progress, and it was really a great conversation that kind of helped. So don't feel like you shouldn't take advantage, even if you're not at that point. Take advantage of everything in the ticket that comes with it.
And I guess the other thing is, as an attendee, depending on your personality, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get out there. I remember when I started attending conferences and seminars, my friend who I usually go to those conferences with back early days, she says, "You have your beach face on. Can you remove that, please?" Because it's like no one will come to us if you have this face on. And I just can't help it. It's a defense mechanism, because I feel like an imposter, which is not something that we're going to talk about a lot. But then I'm like, I don't want to talk to people, and I don't want people to come talk to me. And she's like, "Why we're here then? What's the point?" I'm like, "You go, you talk, and then I'll squeeze around." So maybe if it's really not your thing to go out there and reach people, maybe go with a mate, maybe who is actually good at talking at people, because if you're both bad at it, this is not going to end well.
Also, good tip is sit with someone different every time that you walk into a room or have a meal, because then you're forced to talk to people, so it's not an uncomfortable silence, and then you meet people anyway.
Unless you're me, because I'm fine with the uncomfortable silence, and I just sat there. And real story, the number of times I'm like, I don't care. I just, but
she'll try to make a scenario awkward and uncomfortable, and you just have to suffer through it. There's no choice.
No, I'm getting much better, because I've matured. I grew up, so I'm capable of having a decent conversation with strangers. Okay, all right, I'm done, Jenna.
Are you sure? Because
I'm
I can
not.
wait.
No, I'm not. But I know that you're going to cut me off, so just go ahead.
It's true, because I'm fairly certain that you and Terra could talk about the detailed analysis and what the spreadsheets look like for a really long time, and that probably doesn't suit most of our listening audience, because they want to know these other things. So that said, let us get to our very, very favorite part of the podcast, where we talk about things that are completely and utterly irrelevant to everything else that is going on. And CJ, since you haven't had much chance to talk, you can kick us off. What is phenomenally irrelevant in your world?
So, Pug Life, episode 4. I'm not really sure how many pug experiences I have shared as of late, but this one needs to be told. This morning, as I was having my regular protein shake, which is my life, I don't know if I've made that clear yet, but my protein shake is my life. It's the best thing ever. It's chocolatey, it's yummy, and it's healthy, okay? So the fact that it's chocolatey, yummy, and healthy is really important. It's also very expensive. Are you drinking a protein shake? I'm so jealous. And so I am drinking my delicious, expensive protein shake. I set it down, and then Spike, who eats everything, including plastic forks, sees the protein shake, and he leaps upon the couch and upon me, and it's like he was trying to do both at the same time, me and the shake. And the shake just went down, like all down my side and into the crack of the sofa, where it then seeped into the back of the sofa and then seeped down into the cracks of everything else to the bottom to the tile floor. And it just, I mean, it just, all of that beautiful, wonderful, expensive, yummy protein shake was now soaking in my sofa. And I was so sad. And so then I had to move the couch and look at my protein shake, a puddle on the floor, also, you know, remnants of it in the sofa. It was like someone had died and the grief was real. And so I was cleaning that up and was not aware that I also had it all over my side because it was traumatic and I was in shock. And so there was like there was so much shake on my side and I didn't realize it. And I told Jana this today, that I actually just sat down and started working again and finally realized that I had chocolate shake on my side. And I was so tired and frustrated. Instead of doing anything about it, I looked at it and I was like, I'm just going to keep working. And so I did for like another 45 minutes. That's all.
I thought
That's
you were
it.
going to tell us that the dog was licking the shake off of you.
Exactly.
That's where I thought this. story was
Oh,
headed.
no. He had been put in his cage, but you know, had I let him out, I would have then, you know, noticed it just a little bit sooner, probably, because the dog then would have been eating me. But you know, it's a new low in my life that I was just covered in shake and didn't have the willpower to go
Oh,
put
no, I think
something else
a
on.
new law would be that you realize the shake is been dripping on the side of you and you just decided to lick it yourself. That would be a
Well,
new law.
I considered it, but I just, I don't know. I
No, it's
mean,
not that law. You're
I
good.
considered it.
You're
So
good.
maybe we were almost there. It was
You're
tempting.
good. You're good.
Sweet chocolate shake.
All right, V,
No,
take it away.
no,
Go.
I'm
No,
going.
no, go. And then Tara's
Right.
going to be next
So
because
I don't
that's
know,
the order
Terry,
you're on my screen.
I don't know to
I'm
Terry if
organized.
you're aware, but last week we went really strong with our irrelevant moment that included a Japanese toilet and a hippo song. So this week I thought I need to raise the bar a little bit. Not that there's anything wrong with the bar that we said last week. So this morning, it was my daughter's first day at school. And I knew it was going to be tough. And she went in, not tough, not for her, for me, tough for me, not for her. Just so as expected, we went in, you know, she like had uniforms on, got in the class, got in, see you later. That's it. And I'm like trying to get her attention. Love you. Hugs, cuddles, and like nothing. She's gone, and I'm like leaving the classroom, like crying hysterically in front of all the other parents. And then they have this little note on the table outside of the classroom, and it reads, "First day, dear parents, the time has come. They will be fine. Starting school for the very first time. You've held their hands. Now it's my turn to help them grow, play, and learn, nurturing them as if they were our own, helping them as they explore with a supportive tone. You may get tears. Happy ones are full of tears.
Oh,
Aw.
V.
Please know they will be loved, supported, and looked after during their very first year. A tissue for tears, so you can, I don't know if you
Aw.
can, there's a little tissue attached to the
That is so
note.
That's
sweet.
so cute.
I love it.
A chocolate for cheers.
Oh yeah, that's
Happy
necessary.
birthday, parents. Isn't that amazing?
Aw.
Sweet.
That's so-
Oh.
Is this your first kid going to school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then because the school knows better, they have organized this comfort and great event just right after the drop off. So all the parents can go there, and then everyone saw me coming in with my, you know, and they're like passing on tissue, like. So that was my first my first day of introduction to school. So that was great. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so sweet.
That is
All right,
sweet.
Tara, it looks like you've been joined by a fuzzy friend. What
I
is
have
your
a fuzzy
moment of
friend.
irrelevancy?
My moment of irrelevancy is yesterday, my 13-year-old, which is my baby, went to the dentist, and she's still in so much pain today that she couldn't go to school.
Oh, wow.
And I'm wondering why, because also my husband said this happened to him, so I know she's not just faking it. But like she got so much Novocaine and so much Novocaine that her like up here was numb and her ear was numb and her nose was numb, right? But today she said her teeth don't hurt, it's her gums that hurt.
Ooh.
And on this side, her tooth is so sensitive to cold that she like can't even open her mouth. So I'm wondering if that's normal. And now I'm going to go and ask Google all the things. And maybe I need a new dentist.
Yeah,
There you go.
Google is the best place to ask those questions first and foremost. Yes, that makes total sense. Yes.
And then also, what did she get done? Were they just filling a cavity?
Tiny little fillings like between her teeth cavities. Yeah, it was so weird. Yeah.
That's weird.
And my husband said that his hurt for like 3 days. And like for him to say it hurt, that's a lot, because he walks around with like ruptured discs in his back for years and doesn't think it's that painful because he just deals with it. So for him to say that there was mouth pain after he got his dental work done a few weeks ago, I think there's maybe a problem.
Yeah. That sounds problematic.
Definitely time for a new dentist. No.
Mhm. So yes. Jenna, what's your irrelevant moment?
Oh, I am glorying in the fact that my grandson is now able to pull himself up and is doing the butt dance. And it is the cutest video I have ever seen ever with, they've got the big butt because of the diaper, and he's got himself pulled up and he's doing the little bouncy butt dance. And his parents are so happy. And we're like, he is going to be, he can already roll himself around the room. And the crawling and the walking is eminent, and they're so happy. And I look at them and I go, you are so doomed. Doomed.
Once they're mobile, it's all over.
Yes, and they have 2 cats, which has been really good motivation for my grandson to learn mobility. And they live in a 1-bedroom apartment. And it's like, oh, children, we love you, and we are so grateful for the grandson, because boy, is he cute, but you are so doomed. And then I think about this child when he was a child, and all I can do is laugh and laugh and laugh because I remember the trouble that they caused us. And now here is that little blessing. And this is why being a grandmother is the best thing ever. It's worth everything that you go through with your children to have grandchildren. And a few weeks ago, they're changing him in this, that, and the other, and the grandson just poos all over his father. And all I did was sit back and smile. And it was so lovely. So that's my moment of irrelevancy, is that being an Oma is the best thing ever. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love that kid and I love his parents, but it is the best thing ever. So
I do have to say I have a thing for fat babies and fat animals. So if your cat, Terra, how fat is it? Because
it's very
she's
fluffy.
really fluffy, but she's not fat.
When I say fat, I mean fluffy, like with a lot of fur.
Fluffy.
So it might get kidnapped at some point, but it's not me. So
Yeah,
cute.
you need one.
This
You
is the
definitely
cat
need
who
one.
stole my heart. I was a dog person my whole life, and now this cat.
Yeah, here we go.
It's
Don't
a
tell the
thing.
dogs.
Don't
What
tell the
those
dogs.
cats do. That's what those cats do. And a baby butt dance.
Oh, it's so great. It's the one where they just bend their knees and they just bounce a little and shake their butts. It's the best baby dance ever. And yeah, he's up there doing that and just babbling a mile a minute. And yeah, it's great. It's the best thing ever.
We're
Well,
gonna need
ladies,
to
thank
go
you
get it.
so much for tonight. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us. You can find the show and the show notes at www.elantumdigital.com and follow the podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast distributor. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave us a review. Feel free to talk to us in the comments. We do monitor those, so we're happy to talk to you. And we'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye now.
Bye, guys.